Hello, everyone. We're going to do our stretch class today. We'll get started in a moment. I just want to remind everyone that each of us has a very different body, and you need to make whatever accommodations are necessary for your range of motion and your experience, your ability. You'll notice that there are times when I don't lift my arms as high as might be desirable. That's an accommodation that I make for myself. So please work within your range of motion. Of course, we're always trying to increase that. So let's get started. All right. So I hope you have a straight back chair. Move my back a little bit. Actually, I'm going to move this down, readjust. All right. You're going to need a straight back chair without arms because we'll be moving a lot in the chair and the arms would get in the way. So just to start out, we're going to be right here and just standing nice and flat on your feet. Think of your foot as a tripod with 3 points, one at the pinky toe, one at the great toe, and one at the heel. And if you picture that, it really helps to keep you on all parts of your foot rather than rocking back or forward, side to side. So concentrate on that for a moment. Move your feet around however you need to get them nice and solid. That's where everything starts, being solid on the ground. So we're standing here and just slowly breathing deeply, trying to breathe through your nose if that's possible. If it's not, you breathe however you need to. And let's just grab a breath, just sweep up and come down into heart pose. And just pause here for a moment. And then bring your arms down. And our feet are nice and solid, as we talked about. And now check out your knees. You want them to be soft, which means not really bent, but not locked. They're just in a nice, flexible, soft position where they're not strained and you can move them. So moving on up your body, your tailbone should be pointing right at the ground. Just taking a breath. And come back down to your sides. And as you do so, roll those shoulders back and down. Loosen up your arms. Just let them relax here for a moment. Taking another breath and direct it to your spine. You can consciously lift your neck, lift your head, lengthen your spine. Such a good thing to practice because we want to always maintain the space between the vertebra. And as we get older, they do compress. And so everything we can do to fight that, fight gravity, will help our flexibility, our balance, and a whole lot of other things. So now we're just going to step out a little bit and just gently start to move. We're just going to do a nice, slow, dynamic stretching warm up. Moving your arms kind of in a figure 8. And then bringing it down. Bending a little bit at the waist. Not too much. In this class, we never get our head below our heart. So always be aware of that. Coming back up. Let's just stretch. And down. And out. And in. And out. One more out, but hold it there. And then turn your palms up and come a little bit forward. Not too much, no more than 45 degrees. and relax that, coming back, and bring your palms forward and just lean back a little bit, pushing your pelvis forward just a tiny bit, and coming out again, palms up, and come forward. And leaving the arms out this time, come back. And let's do that one more time. Palms up and forward. And palms up, back. And just come down here, bending those knees. Now, if you're using your chair, you can do all of these upper body movements and move the legs in and out as you need to. Coming over here. Let's just make a figure 8. Keep doing that if you're standing. If you're seated, I'll just show you. You would just be right here. All right. Now, reach with both hands. Grab something and pull it back. Ooh. And reach and pull up to your shoulder. Reach. And we'll do one more. Bending the front knee. Reach. Grab it. It's heavy. Pull it back. And coming over here. Bring this arm down into nice circles. Loosening. You want to feel like that arm's going to fall right out. Now we're going to go out there and grab some weeds. Grab that weed. Pull, 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 pull. Throw it away. Come back. Grab another one. There are lots of weeds out there. Pull and throw. One more. Grab and throw. And coming back to center, just figure 8s, and let's just sweep across like we're playing a piano that goes around, twisting at the waist as it feels good. It can be very small. Last one, coming back to center, and over here with the other arm. Just figure 8s, and then both hands reaching something heavy, 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 heavy. Pull it back, and reach, and pull, reach, and pull. One more. Reach, grab it, and pull. And then come down with that arm. Just let it feel like it might fall right out of the socket. Other way. And then let's grab those weeds. Come back here. Grab it, grab it, grab it. Pull it and throw. And back. Grab, grab, grab. Pull and throw. Grab it. Pull and throw. And then coming here, back to a few little plies. Again, if you're seated, you can come here and down and lift your torso. One more. And then coming back up. Again, if you're standing, get this knee out. Come back, straighten the front leg, lift this hip in the back. Should be lifted. You should feel this stretch on the front leg, inner thigh, and in your glutes. Holding it and release. And other direction. Reaching back, straight front leg. Don't press on the knee. We never want to put pressure on a joint. You can certainly use the chair for balance, putting one hand on it, and up. Let's do that one more time on each side, lifting the hip in the back. Keeping your head up above your heart and back. And only going over as far as feels good. If this is as far as feels good, that's terrific. Stretch doesn't happen in one class or one day. Becoming more flexible is a matter of repeated events. All right, just to close out here, let's finish with a few sways and then come down and up and down and up. All right, good. So we should feel a little bit warm, a little bit more flexible, and we will move on and start with some specific stretches for various body parts. All right, so come back to your chair. Before you sit down in this class, I always want you to feel the back of the chair with your legs. That tells you it's there, that you're not off center. So once you find that place, have a seat. And you want to be sitting at the front of your chair. I'm going to just lower this screen a bit. All right. You're sitting at the front of your chair, and posture is as important when we're sitting as standing. So the first thing we want to do is get our feet on their tripods. Remember, pinky toe, great toe, heel. So make sure that your weight is distributed on those 3 points, both feet, and that those feet are your ankles are directly below your knees. So our foot to our ankle is 90 degrees. Our lower leg to our upper leg at the knee is 90 degrees. Our upper leg to our torso at the hip is 90 degrees. So we want to be nice and square and comfortable here. So let's grab a breath and come out. Now when you come down, keep those shoulders back and down. Taking a nice breath. And we're going to just start with our upper torso. And we're going to start by doing a seated airplane. So this movement is going to bring our torso forward, our arms back. We're going to try to mimic the image of a jet plane. So we're going to be flying off and extending to the back. So taking in a breath. And as you exhale, lift up out of your hips and hinge forward. Hands to the back, palms to the floor. And you're pushing your shoulder blades together and extending your neck. You want to be looking at the floor, maybe 3 or 4 feet in front of you, wherever your eyes naturally fall. The reason that's important is that you don't want to either kink your neck up or let it drop down. So you're reaching out. We're going to hold each stretch for approximately 10 seconds. It's better to hold them longer, but in class we don't have time for that. So holding it, we're going to come up in 2, 1, and exhale and come back to neutral. Now you're sitting at the front of your chair, so you should have some space between your back and the back of the chair. So we're going to just lean back and stretch in a reverse direction. So taking a nice breath. And as you exhale, lean back, holding yourself up with your abs. reaching out with your fingertips, keeping those feet flat on the floor. It's much harder if you're shorter. So if you're having trouble keeping your feet on the floor, you might consider using some kind of platform. The only problem with that is that it can become a trip hazard if you lose track of it during the class. So if you could just sit far enough forward on the chair to keep your feet on the floor, that's better. Holding it here, coming up in 2, 1, and exhale back to neutral. Let's do that one more time. First, going forward with an airplane. Whenever you're ready, taking a nice breath. And exhale forward. Pushing those shoulder blades together, looking at the floor. Stretching out. Breathing. Never hold your breath. Coming up in 2, 1, and exhale. Just pause for 1 resting breath, maybe 2. And on the exhale, tighten those abs, lean back, reach forward with your fingertips. This is so strengthening. And of course, strength is a huge part of being balanced, as is flexibility, agility, coordination. All of those things come more easily if we feel like we can move easily in space. In 2, 1, exhale, back up to neutral. You can just give yourself a little shake, loosen everything up. Check your feet, make sure they're still nice and solid. Now we're going to turn to the side, twisting from the top of our hips. So everything we're sitting on and below is not going to move. So taking a breath, and as you exhale, just slowly begin to turn to the side. And this is where the chair becomes a wonderful tool to help us maintain the stretch. I don't think you can see it, but I'm holding the back of the chair with my hand in the back. That anchors me and keeps me from pushing back to the front. And so it gives my muscles time to relax into this stretch until they start to feel like this is where they want to be, in a nice, loose, flexible position. Exhaling back in 2, 1, and coming around. Hands down at our side. The same thing in the other direction. Coming around. You can look wherever you wish. You can look down or up. Anchor yourself wherever you're comfortable on the chair. And remember, we want to always be trying to extend the stretch. So maybe try for just a teeny bit more, 1/4 of an inch. Doesn't have to be much to be effective. And I think if you keep doing these stretches, in not too much time, you're going to start feeling results. Coming around in 2, 1, and exhale back to neutral. Arms down. Now we're going to stretch our lateral abdominal muscles. So taking a nice breath. And as you exhale, slide on down and come up over your head. Now, this is where I'm going to not bring my arm over my head. I'm going to leave it here, taking care of myself, which is what I want everyone out there to do. So if that feels good to you to have a beautiful arc over your head with your arm, please go for it. Important thing here is that you reach for the floor, keep your torso straight from front to back, and that you keep that upper shoulder back. If you let the upper shoulder come forward, your stretch goes away. Keep breathing. 2, 1, exhale, back up to neutral. And breathing while you rest. On the next exhale, we'll go in the other direction. Same thing with the arm. You put it wherever it feels good. It may feel good just down here. That's fine. Shoulder back, reaching for the floor. Reach, reach, reach. Stretching it out. Don't forget to keep breathing. Never hold your breath during any stretch. And coming up in 2, 1, exhale, and come down. And now we're going to, excuse me, do a twisting upper torso again, like we did at first, because the second time around with the stretch is almost always better. So take in a nice breath, and as you exhale, come around. Breathe. Don't forget, breathing the whole time during the stretch is essential. And come around in 2, 1, exhaling. Pausing for a moment on the next exhale. Let's come around to the other side, turning all the way from the hips, anchoring with that back hand again on the chair. Holding it here. Coming around in 3, 2, 1, exhaling. And back down. And now we'll do the laterals, taking in a breath. And slide on down. Bringing this arm up over your head if that's available to you. Down at your side or on your shoulder, wherever it feels challenging but comfortable. Reach for the floor, wiggle those fingers, reach, reach, reach. Keep the upper shoulder back. Head can move around wherever you're comfortable. When you're doing this stretch, you want to make sure you're not tensing up other parts of your body. So do a little inventory with each stretch. Coming up in 1 and back. And on the next exhale, slide on down. Slide those ribs over and open them up on the stretched side. Those muscles will be very grateful. They open and close with our breathing, the little muscles between our ribs, but rarely do we really stretch them like this. Stretching, reaching for the floor, coming up in 3, 2, 1, and exhale up. And we're going to do one more stretch like this. And we're either going to do the same thing going down to the side, or if you want a little deeper stretch, you can bring this foot in. This foot can be placed here, or it can be placed here, just like you're sitting comfortably with your legs crossed. So doing that turning stretch one more time, taking a breath, with or without the added enhancement, anchoring in the back, using the front arm to press against the outer thigh, increasing the stretch on the outer hip. Keeping our hip muscles flexible really, really helps our mobility. It helps with how we walk and how our balance is. So stretches like this can be very, very valuable. Coming around in 3, 2, 1, and exhale. Unwind if you're wound up into an expanded stretch. And then the other side. Move the standing foot in and the other side, crossing at the foot or on the knee. Inhale and exhale around. Anchoring. You may, I would say almost certainly, will find a difference between the two sides. Pressing against that outer leg if you would like additional stretch in that outer thigh. Exhaling in 2, 1, and coming around. And unwinding here. All right. We're going to go into a 4-pose flow, and this can be done seated or standing. I'm going to demonstrate it standing in this direction and then seated in this direction. So you can follow along. Actually, we're going to start with a seated. So this direction will be the seated. Okay. All right. So check out your 90 degrees. You're nice and solid. Your feet are on the floor firmly on their tripods. Let's just take in a breath. And slowly come on down. Exhaling as we do. So the first pose we're going to assume is called chair. And it seems a little counterintuitive that you could do this in a chair, but you really can. What you're doing is trying to mimic the shape of a chair with your body. So to start, we're going to inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to lift up out of our hips and bring our arms forward, hands together, palms facing one another. And you're just holding this. And you can feel how you had to tighten up your glutes, tighten up your abs, and reach, stretching out the shoulder muscles and your arms. You're holding it here. It's just as if someone's ready to sit in your lap, or I should say, sit in you as a chair. Exhaling, 2, 1, and down. The second pose is called pyramid. So if you're seated, move this foot forward, the other foot back, turned out. You want your heels lined up. This leg stays straight up. This one falls open. Taking in a breath. And as you exhale, lift up out of your torso like we did in an airplane. Arms to the back, lean forward. Palms are facing the floor. Palms are facing one another. you're pushing your shoulder blades together. It's like you want to clap your hands back there, but of course you can't because your back is between. But it really opens your shoulders, stretches out those deltoid muscles in the front, stretches out your pecs. You're breathing, your eyes are on the floor so that you don't get a kink in your neck. Exhaling in 2, 1, and coming up. And then our next pose is called Goddess. So with the back foot, you step out. Other foot, you step out. So you're in a wide turnout. And again, taking in a breath, lifting up out of the chair. And as you exhale, lift up your hands. So you have your torso elongated, nice and strong. Your arms out, palms up. Breathing. Coming back in 3, 2, 1. And the next movement, we're bringing our arms down. Turn this foot in a pigeon-toed sort of arrangement. Taking a breath, and as you exhale, slide on down, reaching for the floor. My hand is behind my leg, and this arm, again, can go up over your head. It can stay on your shoulder, or it can even stay down. Important thing here, keep both sides of your bottom on the chair. You don't want to lift up. If you lift up, it can be dangerous. You could fall, but also it just simply ruins the stretch. So holding here, you can move your head around. You can look up or down, straight ahead. Important thing is to keep that upper shoulder back and reach for the floor. Coming up in 2, 1, and exhale. And then heel toe in. So that's the movements in the seated position. So now I'm going to show you in the standing. We'll go in the other direction. So make a little adjustment here. So for standing, we're going to do the same thing. Our first position is chair. And so we get solid on our feet and taking a breath. And as we exhale, we come down in a chair pose. Now, if you're more comfortable staying in chair, absolutely, that's where you should be. So go ahead and do what we just did, but with the other side. Holding this, someone should be able to come along and sit right down on you as a chair. Palms are facing one another. You're reaching forward. Coming up in 3, 2, 1, and exhale. And step out. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Step out into, step back with the opposite foot that you used last time. Line up your heels, hips are forward, and as you exhale, lean from the hips, palms, arms to the back, palms facing one another, and come down. Whatever amount feels comfortable. When you're here, keep that front knee soft and lift your tailbone in the air. The minute you lift that tailbone, you're going to feel a hamstring stretch, click in. Holding it here, breathing. Anytime you need to come out of a stretch early, please do. Respect your own body. Coming up in 2, 1 on the exhale. And once you get fully up, you're going to step out with the back foot into our wide second position. Taking a breath, exhale into goddess. Holding this here, breathing the whole time. Coming up in 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Turn the opposite foot of the one you turned before and slide on down. Shoulder back, arm up if you like. I'm leaving mine down today, keeping my shoulder back. Make sure you keep that shoulder back. That's harder if you have your arm up because that arm's heavy and it wants to pull you forward. So make sure you're keeping it to the back. Breathing. Again, moving your head around however you want. Just don't get into any kind of stress position. Exhaling in 2, 1, coming up. And heel toe in. And we'll go through that now in a more fluid manner because we all know the moves. So we're going to use this side as a foot that steps back this time. So it's just standing here in your nice solid position on the floor. You're nice and relaxed. Your shoulders are back and down. Let's take in one breath. And exhale. And when you're ready, taking a breath and on the exhale, sink into chair. And hold it here, extending the arms, palms facing one another, stretching out those muscles in your back, your posterior deltoids, your arms, your biceps, triceps are all stretching. And you are strengthening a great deal by holding this position with your legs. Coming up in 3, 2, 1, and exhale. And step back into pyramid position. Remember, line up the heels, turn out the back foot. As you exhale, lean forward, hinge forward from the hips is what it really is. You're not bending at the waist. Pressing your palms toward one another as if you're going to clap. Shoulder blades should be kissing. Oh, that front knee needs to be soft. Lift the tailbone. Feel that hamstring stretch. So good. And on the count of 3, 2, 1, exhale up. And step out into our goddess position. Wide second. Turned out. Taking a breath. And as you sit down, come on up. Holding this here. Your tailbone is pointing right at the floor. You're breathing. Coming up in 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Turn that back foot. As you exhale, come on down into angle. You're lifting the hip. You're keeping this front knee soft. And you're keeping your shoulder back. Breathing the whole time. Never hold your breath. Coming up in 3, 2, 1. And exhale. And heel toe in. Doing this heel toe in and out is very good for our ankles. All right, let's do that in the other direction. Again, starting from our nice solid position on our tripod feet. So taking in a breath and coming down. And one more breath. As you exhale, sink into chair. The weight stays on your entire foot. This is not a squat. It's a chair. So holding those palms facing one another to the front, staying as much on your toes as on your heels. Don't let yourself rock back. And of course, breathing the whole time you're here. Coming up in 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Step back with whichever foot you did not use the first time. Line up the heels. Hips are forward. Inhale, and as you exhale, lean from the hips, hinging from the hips forward. Your eyes are on the floor. Palms are facing one another. Your fingertips are reaching back and in, pushing those shoulder blades together. Keep that front knee soft and lift your tailbone. Looking at the floor. Breathing. Coming up in 2, 1, and exhaling. Stepping out with that back foot turned out. On the exhale, sink down into goddess, tailbone pointing at the floor. Breathing in and out. Coming up in 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Turning the back foot and sliding down into angle. Shoulders stay back, arm wherever it feels good. Front knee is soft. Lifting your tailbone. Feeling that inner thigh stretch. Holding. Making sure you're not bringing that shoulder forward. Coming up in 3, 2, 1. And exhale. Up. And heel toe in. And just give yourself a little shake here. And relax. All right, I would like everyone to come behind their chair. I'm going to turn mine sideways so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to do some stretches for our lower legs. Actually, it stretches the whole leg, but it's specifically for the lower, outside of the lower leg and the foot. Many of us have foot issues, and this is something that can really help with that. We're going to start, however, with just some heel raises. So lift up and slowly roll down, going through all the bones in your feet. Now you have the chair there, it's just for balance. Don't lean on it. You want to be standing nice and tall. And now you want to be back on your heels and breathing. And then roll back into neutral and continue right on through, trying to roll through every bone in your foot. Sorry, I have no idea why this is doing this. Apologies for that. Everything is supposed to be turned off. Coming up, holding this. And slowly roll back. All right, now just alternate heel and toe, heel and toe. And you can stop with that. All right, so now we're going to go into a hurdler stretch. And this is what I was saying was for the outside of our foot and our leg. So step back, straight back into a hurdler stretch. And lean forward onto the front foot for a starter. And while you're here, what I want you to do is pigeon toe this back foot. So you turn your heel out. And once you do that, put the weight onto that back foot. And keeping the weight there, lean your body forward. So you extend the bend in your front leg, but you don't increase the weight on that leg. So it's probably about, should be about 70% of your weight on the back leg, 30 on the front. So you're stretching, you should feel this in the side of your foot, up the side of your leg. Breathing while you're here. The chair is just for balance. Don't hang on the chair like this. Number one, it's bad for your shoulders, but number two, it also destroys the stretch. All right, exhale up, back into neutral. So bringing whichever leg you did not use back into that traditional hurdler stretch. Turn the heel out, and then make sure the weight is on that back leg and bend the front leg. I'm hoping that you're feeling that up the side of your foot, side of your leg, across your knee, all the way up your thigh. These are muscles that are not very often stretched, particularly in the foot. There are 28 joints in the foot, and every one of them can give us trouble if we don't keep them flexible. Pressing on the back foot. Exhaling in 2, 1, and coming up. And taking in a breath and stepping back. Turning the heel out. You're in a traditional forward leaning stretch, but now you're bringing your weight back. You're pushing down in that heel. You're leaning forward, balancing with the chair. here. Pressing. Coming up in 2, 1, and exhale. And we'll do that again on the other side. Stepping back, turning the heel out, and coming into our stretch. But remember, 70% of the pressure is on that back leg, 30% on the front, and the chair for balance. Better to use the chair so that you can hold the position properly than to try to do it without and feel wobbly. And coming up in 2, 1, exhale, back to neutral. All right, that's a really good exercise to practice every day. Definitely helps to keep your feet healthy and flexible. So now just pause here for a moment and then just walk back, stepping out in a wide stance and lifting your tailbone, but keeping your head above your arms. Remember at the beginning I said we never want our head to go below our heart. So here it should not be below your arms. And once you get here, lift your tailbone and breathe. You should feel a really fabulous hamstring stretch. And this can be much higher and still give you a really great hamstring stretch. So you find your spot, and it's kind of fun to mark where you are today and see your improvement, your ability to be more flexible and stretch further as you keep practicing these exercises. Coming up in 2, 1, and exhale. And if your chair is in a place where it's not going to slide, drop your hips just a little and look up. We're not really doing a cobra position because that's too stressful on the shoulder and it's too easy to scoot your chair away. So we're just lifting a little, arching a little, and releasing right back into that downward dog type position. Now again, going back to our feet, you've lifted your tailbone, but now alternate the feet. Lifting them with a bent knee. And holding. Coming up in 3, 2, 1. And again, exhale into our lifted position. That is moving our back in the opposite direction. And coming up in 2, 1, and just relaxing and stepping one foot forward and then the other. So let's come back to our seated position in our chair. And we'll finish up with a few forward folds, modified because remember, our heads definitely need to stay above our heart. Particularly important if you're exercising at home alone. You don't want to get dizzy, put yourself in a position of passing out, and by dropping your head below your heart, that can happen. So coming back to our neutral 90-degree everywhere position, feet on their tripods, flat on the floor. And let's just do a little bit of footwork, continue with the footwork. So squeeze your toes. I'm going to demonstrate with my hands because you can't see my toes in my shoes. So squeeze them up as hard as you can, and then fling them out as wide apart as you can, holding them and then lay them in the shoe. And squeeze again, and fling, and lower. Squeeze, fling, and lower. That should feel really good on your feet. Try to keep them spread apart, and during the day, just do that a few times, along with maybe some foot rolls. It really does help to keep your feet comfortable and healthy. All right, let's step out into a second position again. We're going to do a forward fold. Now, we're never going to go lower than this, but coming here or here is very good. So you do whatever feels good to you. Also, our hands will always remain in contact with our legs. So we're never out there in space without having an anchor. You're seated securely on your chair near the front. Feet are solid on the floor. Taking a breath. And as you exhale, lift up out of your hips, extend forward, and slide on down. Again, stopping anywhere above 90 degrees. Breathing. You're looking at the floor. Your feet are on your your hands are on your legs, wherever is a comfortable position on the inside of your legs. Holding this here and exhaling in 2, 1, coming up. And we'll do that again. Taking a breath and slide on down. Pausing wherever is comfortable for you. Again, kind of marking the place where you are today and measuring improvements that you make. I think that's one of the most amazing things about stretch, is that you really can not only see the improvements, but feel the improvements. Stretching your muscles takes a lot of strain off the joints. And exhale, coming up, makes the muscles longer, more flexible, all of which improves your coordination and balance. And let's do one more of those. Taking a breath and exhale. We want to feel better. We want to be able to move better in space, feel more confident. Breathing. And coming up in 3, 2, 1, and exhaling. And heel toe in. Let's roll our shoulders back and then forward. And let your head roll back and forth across your chest. And sitting tall, place your fingers behind your head and look up. You're supporting your head. You never want to let your neck just drop back. And come up again. Bring the hands down. Look at the chest. Look at the floor. Put your chin on your chest. And grab one last breath before we say goodbye. Let's just sit back for a moment and relax. Just take your time getting up after stretch class. You could just sit here and take in deep breaths. Just kind of inventory your body. Check out how you feel. I think you're going to like what you find if you keep doing these stretch classes. And in between, you'll have the videos. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here, and we'll do this again in a while. Thank you.